Alright, I haven't done one of these videos in a while. Let's do a quick sound check. Press 1 if the sound is good. Press 1 if the sound is good. Alright, I haven't done one of these videos in a while. Let's do a quick sound check. Press 1 if the sound is good. Press 1 if the sound is good. It still sounds a lot like it's a little bit too loud. I don't know what the deal is with that. Let me try to adjust something here. Just bear with me 1 second. So today, in this live stream, we're going to talk about how you can identify the legit from the fakes. So 30. Let's see. Let's drop it down to 15. Maybe that's what will do the trick. Drop it down by half. Drop it like it's hot. Let's see how that sounds. Drop it like it's hot. Let's see how that sounds. I don't know. It still sounds a little bit hot to me, but I'm just going to continue at this point. Alright, so we're going to talk about how to identify the legit from the fake. So you have people out there that are basically using or taking advantage of a lot of young people, to be honest, trying to, and many being successful at, be successful themselves. So the idea is not able to make the kind of money they want from business. Like their businesses are failures, which that's okay. The way to success is through failure, right? You fail and fail and fail until you find something that works, and then that's where the success comes from. So that's totally fine. The problem is when you fail and then you decide that what I'm going to do is I'm going to now try to cheat. And when you look at somebody like Tai Lopez, the cheating didn't start with the whole Tai Lopez garage thing. If you look at his actual other businesses prior to this one, you will see that there's definitely a lot of shadiness going on prior to that. So this is nothing new. This is just a whole nother level of shadiness, right? So there's a lot. I keep seeing these, and it's interesting. I almost feel like a majority of the ads that I see on YouTube are some kind of a scam. You know, it'll be something like this. Are you tired of working a 9-to-5 job that you can't really stand and having your boss tell you what to do? Well, why are you still doing it when you could be living the life that you want to live? I don't work a 9-to-5. I work when I want to work, where I want to work. I travel the world and I live my dreams. And it wasn't that long ago that I only had $47 in my bank account, right? It's the same thing, you know. And then they go into this kind of red pill stuff where they talk about, and that's how they rope you in. They rope you in by giving you some sort of food for thought that's actually legit, but they're only using that to sort of trick you. So they say stuff like, you know, the schools don't teach you these things, right? Because they want you to be part of the machine and be a worker, and you know, do what they want you to do and follow their agenda. They want you to help them live their dreams, kind of like how these guys are trying to do as well, right? Yeah. So they know a lot of people are struggling, trying to be successful, trying to live their dreams, and you know, dealing with failure, and you know, when you're dealing with that, you can't pay your bills, and then you see somebody on some video, you know, driving a Lamborghini and flying around the world, and then they get right at you with the emotional thing, where it's this whole thing about working a job that you don't like, and you're like, yeah, I don't like my job. You know, for hardly enough money to pay your bills. Yeah, man, I'm struggling trying to pay my bills. right? And then talk about the schools and how they're set up to make you a worker and not a thinker and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, man, that sounds legit. I think that's really the case. I've heard people say that. Wow. And that is legit. Right? I mean, you think the government really wants a lot of independent thinkers? Think about a nation of independent thinkers. Right? You as a government are trying to go in one direction, and you have a nation of people that are independent thinkers that have different ideas. You know how hard it is to kind of control people when they're creative and, you know, sort of have the ability to think on their own and say, that doesn't make sense. Why should we do that? We should really do this, right? And come together as a unit and stand up against nonsense, right? That's tough. That's a tough job. It's much easier to have a bunch of sort of sheep that will watch, you know, these ridiculous elections. Every election, it's a fiasco, right? And you have these sheep who, it's like they keep doing the same stuff, expecting different results. Right? You don't have enough creative thinkers that'll sit there and say, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Why are we doing it this way? Right? These politicians are being paid off. Our government is really, it's kind of like it's a scam. Right? You don't have people that are sitting down and saying this and standing up against it and shutting it down. Right? You have a lot of people that sort of buy into the whole sheep mentality. Go to school, get a degree, right? Get a nice job, white picket fence, right? Go with the program, don't go against the grain, right? Much easier to mold people like that. And that's how they get you, these schemers. They get you with a valid point. That's a valid point. However, the irony is that essentially a lot of these individuals, and I don't really know of anyone right now that I can think of that's got ads on YouTube right now that's talking about how to be successful that are actually, in my opinion, legit. Every time I hear, like the minute I hear entrepreneur, I think fraud. Right? I'm not saying an entrepreneur or being an entrepreneur is a fraud, but it's just these people who keep talking about, oh, how to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to show you how to be an entrepreneur and all this kind of stuff. That's always the thing. It's this whole dream of, you know, be your own boss and whatever. And I'm not knocking that, right? It can be an amazing experience being your own boss, right? But that's besides the point, right? And what is the point? The point is that these individuals are seeking to live their dreams by leeching off of less fortunate people, by playing this whole game of this emotional game of, you know, oh, live your own life and da 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 da, right? But ultimately, what is the goal? The goal is that they are trying to do what they're claiming they're going to teach you to do, right? This is their business. This is their, I want to be my own boss. I want to travel the world. Right? Where was Tai Lopez before he started doing all these videos? Right? If you look at his transition, he gave hints of luxury. And as his 67 Steps program grew, the hints became stronger and stronger till it became actual luxury, right? I mean, he actually is leasing that mansion that he's in, right? He's actually leasing that, right? I believe he actually owns a series of cars. Now, what did he own in the beginning? That's the question. But here's the bottom line, because the real focus of this is not to knock Tai Lopez or any of these individual people. So let's forget about names and individuals. Let's just talk about how to identify who is legit and who is trying to trick you out of your money, right? So here's a key way, a very easy way to tell. If you look in the description of this video, I mentioned this. Most people spend most of their time working on whatever it is that pays the bills. Right? Think about a typical person. You're working a regular job. You're working, let's say you work 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5. That's a lot of time every day. Right? What is your typical day Monday through Friday if you're working a quote-unquote normal job? Right? You get up in the morning, and within 2 to 3 hours, you're in the office. And most of that 2 to 3 hours is all about the office. Right? I got to get dressed to go to the office. I got to have breakfast. So when I go to the office, I'm fed and I can function. Right? Having breakfast before I leave to go to the office. Getting dressed to go to the office. And if you're commuting, you're in a bus to go to the office. You're in a train to get to the office. You're in your car to get to the office. So even though 2 to 3 hours in the morning, you're not at work yet, it's all about work. Remember my point. Most people spend most of their time dealing with whatever pays the bills. So that entire morning, even though you're not in the office, it's all about the office, right? So then you're in the office 9 a.m., 9 to 12, you're in the office actually working. That's a lot of hours. You take a break for lunch, right? And why are you taking a break? Part of the reason is the office, right? You need a break. You know, a stressful day. It's good to have a break in the middle so you don't just run yourself dry, to rejuvenate. And also to feed yourself. You got to stay fed. How are you going to function without food, right? So that's your office lunch break, right? 5 o'clock comes, you're done. Now what are you doing? Now you're trying to escape the office. So let's say it takes you 2 hours, an hour to 2 hours to get home. That's all about leaving the office. So now you're home. So 5, 6, so let's say 7 o'clock. It's about to get dark, right? Maybe you play games or watch TV for an hour. So 7 to 8, right? 7 to 9, right? A lot of times, a lot of that has to do with the office as well. Right? You spend all day working. Now you want my time, right? You spend so much time working. Now you want to fit in some your time, right? You don't want to just lay back, right? You want to have some fun because you've been working all day. Maybe if you hadn't been working all day, maybe you just like be relaxing as opposed to like, I want to watch a movie. I want to do this. I want to go. Like you feel like motivated to like do something for you because all day long you've been working, right? At this job. And then there's this whole, watching the hours go by to where I got to get to bed so I can get back to the office the next day. Right? Most people spend most of their time dealing with whatever pays the bills. So now let's look at an entrepreneur. So a lot of these guys like to sell this idea of working your own hours and things like that. But when you're working as an entrepreneur, starting a small business by yourself or just with one partner or two partners, you actually typically will work more hours than a 9 to 5 person because when can you stop? Right? When you stop, the business stops. You are the business. Right? So where's this idea of like, I'm going to get up at 8 to get to work at 9? Right? There may be some competitive move you need to make, which you need to be up at 8 o'clock. Maybe you have a meeting scheduled with a strategic partner or something like that, right? 8 a.m. Right? So now you're getting up at 8. Maybe you have a relationship with someone who's in a different time zone to where you need to be up at 6 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning, right? The 9 to 5ers are still sleeping. Meanwhile, you, the entrepreneur, you're up at 7 in the morning, right? 9 to 5ers, 5 o'clock hits, they go home. But when you're the business, where's the going home, right? You're understaffed as a small business. You're doing way too much as a small business. So how can you just stop at 5? Because if you stop, your business stops, right? Maybe there's some orders you need to fill. Maybe there's some budgeting stuff you need to work on. Maybe there's some phone calls you need to make, right? There's always stuff to do. So instead of 5 o'clock, you go home. 6 o'clock, you're still working. 7 o'clock, you're still working. 8 o'clock, you're still working. 9 o'clock, you're still working. That's the reality. of an entrepreneur. So a typical entrepreneur to me would spend more time at work. But ultimately, both parties are spending most of their days, most of their times, working on what pays the bills. And this is the key element at which you can use to detect who is legitimately trying to help you and who is scheming and trying to use you, trying to get your money so they can live their dreams. Not trying to help you live your dreams. They're trying to live their dreams off of your money that you work so hard for, right? Making fun of you, working a 9-to-5 job. Meanwhile, that little money that's so insignificant, $20 an hour, little $20 an hour, you can make $10,000 a month, right? But that little $20 an hour equals millions of dollars to these individuals, right? They get tens of thousands of people to buy into their nonsense. And all that money, all that minimum wage, right? All that low earning whatever adds up to potentially millions of dollars in their pocket, right? So here's the deal. Again, don't think about names. If you see anyone who is all day, every day, online, on social media, Instagram, making YouTube videos, all kind of stuff, right? We're going to do a live stream today, a live stream tomorrow. I have a big conference coming up this Friday, right? So busy, right? All surrounding, I'm going to show you how to be successful. Guess what? This individual is trying to be successful themselves by selling you the idea that they're going to show you how to be successful. Because the fact that they're spending all this time talking about, I'm going to show you the way, means that showing you the way is how they are making their money. Right? So here's the disconnect. They'll talk to you about, yeah, I'm an investor and I do all this and stuff, and I got this and this, and I'm running several businesses right now, and this and that, and I'm on the board. Really? When do you find time to do all that? When all day, every day, all you're doing is talking about your program of how you're going to be teach people how to be successful. Right? People who are really successful, really running all these businesses, and really I'm an investor, all this kind of stuff, you know what they spend most of their day doing? They spend most of their days doing the stuff that these guys talk about, right? Tai Lopez keeps talking about, I'm an investor, and he may very well maybe one now, right? Because now he's got a lot of money from this program, right? But in the beginning, that's what he was selling us as. I'm an investor. I got all these successful companies, and he never told us what these companies are, right? A guy who shows us all in his house and so quote unquote transparent, right? Showing his cars and this and that and all this kind of stuff, but yet we don't get to know about these businesses that he supposedly is running and all this. I'm an investor and I do all this. We don't see that. If that was really what he was doing, and that was really his claim to fame, then that's what he would be talking about all day. And when I say talking about all day, I don't mean talking about, hey, I do these things. I mean actually doing these things, right? So if I'm an investor, right, and that's how I'm paying the bills, and I'm going to be on social media all day, I'm going to be talking about those investments, right? So I'm going to be promoting my investment business, right? So let's say I have Carlisle Investments, right? That's how I make my money. If I'm on social media all day, every day, Instagram, this and that, making a whole bunch of videos, right? I'm going to be talking about my investment program, right? And I'm going to be encouraging you guys to sign up for my program because that's how I'm paying the bills. I'm not going to be simply talking about it, right? That doesn't make any sense. So the other factor you have to consider is that unfortunately the realities of the world that we live in is kind of a dog-eat-dog world, right? And there's just not a lot of people that are out there looking out for you, right? You have to assume that most people are in it for themselves, right? They are trying to accomplish their dreams and their goals. That's simply the way the world works. So the idea that you have so many people out there that are, oh, I just want to help people. I no one taught me, so I want to show you guys. No. That's just not the way the world works. There are people like that, but they're extremely rare. But yet every day, some new person pops up on YouTube with some ad about, I used to such and such, and now, and look at the nice car I have, and whatever, and, I didn't even go to school, and right? Every day, someone's popping up. You know how hard it is to run a business and to stay competitive? You think you really have time to go on a mission? Oh, I'm going to show people. Let's qualify this. I am the actual person who, not online selling a program, I actually volunteer at schools, right? I go to schools for free to help to motivate kids. That's something that I actually do legit, no cost, right? How many times do you hear me talking about that? Right? That's something that it's very important to me, right? But I don't do it for points. I don't do it to impress anyone, right? And I'm not selling anything. But consider that I'm an actual one of those rare people that have a genuine interest in trying to help other people to live their dreams and be successful. I am that person for real, right? But yet, even I don't have time to be all day online talking about, I'm going to help you guys live your dreams. Right? I just don't have time. The reason that I am able to do the things that I've been able to do, the reason that my life has been that it has, takes a lot of time. Right? If I wasn't busy working as hard as I do, focused on the things that pay the bills, focused on the things that allow me to live the life that I live, then I wouldn't be able to do that, right? It is because I dedicate my time to the things that pay the bills that I'm able to pay the bills as I do, right? So if I were to spend a lot of time online, I'm going to show you guys that would compromise my success, right? The things that pay the bills would fall apart. I just don't have that kind of time, right? So when you see someone who has so much time, they got a whole program, 'cause that takes time. Imagine, like, for me to come up with a program, my 50 steps to success, right? And I'm gonna do an ebook and all this kind of stuff. All these different things, that takes time. Right? I got to think about it and plan it, and there's legal stuff, and there's so many things to get done. When am I going to find time to do that if I'm a quote-unquote investor and I'm doing this and I'm running all these companies and all the stuff that these guys say? Right? When would I find time to do that? It makes no sense. It makes no sense that someone who is super successful, as these guys present themselves to be, has all this time to help you. I know our ego, we would like to think that we're so special and someone would, spend their time, but that's just not how it works. For most people, it's all about self-interest, right? So if you see someone online talking about whatever, you got to automatically assume that their main focus is self-interest, not your interest, but self-interest. And if they're spending so much time for something that there's a cost associated to it in terms of they're charging for something, then you have to understand that this is their success. This is how they make money. Not the stuff they're talking about. It's the stuff they're doing, right? How much money did Tai Lopez make from his 67 Steps program? Right? Based on how he's living now, I can say safely he made a lot of money doing that. Right? His money comes from him basically being very good at personal branding, right? So essentially, the only thing to learn from him and other people like that is that personal branding can be very lucrative, right? So it's not about them teaching you the secrets to success, right? Because they're not being successful doing what they're telling you about, right? They just tell you generic things, right? They give you generic information that you can find online yourself, right? But ultimately, the way they're being successful is through this game they're playing, this personal branding game of where you present yourself as, you know, where you want to be, right? You're not there yet. Have people buy into it, and then fund your dream of actually being that which you would like to be. And that's the perfect thing for Tai Lopez, because now he's actually making good money. So now it's even harder to distinguish between, you know, the reality versus the fantasy, right? Because he has made the fantasy reality, right? But ultimately, again, it's not about talking about individual people. It's about a general thing that is happening. So if you see people that are online advertising about how they're going to show you how to be successful, you need to inquire about what kind of charities that they're running, right? Because that's a charitable thing to do, to spend that kind of money and time trying to help other people to be successful. So a person like that is going to have a lot of charities that they're running, right? Legitimate stuff that they're doing, not just to say I'm running a charity, right? They're going to be a philanthropist, right? So you're going to hear about how much money they're donating, and they're working with schools or food programs, right? Because only a charitable person like that would spend all his time and money investing in something to help others, right? And then ultimately, the fact that they have all that time to do all that promotion and actual conducting the programs and whatever, all that stuff that these guys do, says that that's their moneymaker. Their moneymaker is you, right? You buying into their fantasies that they present with you, right? Their moneymaker is drawing you in with emotion, right? Saying stuff that a lot of people connect with, a lot of people struggling and want to live their dreams, and people starting to wake up to the idea that the schools don't really teach you everything, right? So they hit you with these truths, right? And they connect with you on an emotional level, and you get sucked in. And the best part of it is they will just take generic information that's out there. So there's general principles of success, and they'll just take that general information and, you know, regurgitate it out to you. So it's not like they're necessarily telling you bad things, right? I mean, I gave this analogy before. It's like, imagine if I'm not really a good basketball player, right? But I go and I present myself as, you know, I used to be a championship basketball player, right? And somehow you've never heard of me, but right? I mean, that's kind of weird. If you're championship, then they'd be able to look you up. But let's just say I'm going around saying I used to be a championship basketball player. The reality is I'm really not, right? I'm gonna show you guys how to be a championship player like me, right? All I do is I go online and I Google tips on how to be good at basketball, right? I take that information, I regurgitate it into my program, and then I sell it to you for $100, right? So it's not that I'm giving you wrong information, although some of that stuff might be wrong, because I'm not a championship basketball player, so I'm not gonna be able to weed out stuff that doesn't work or invalid information. So some of that stuff may actually be false, right? Because again, I'm giving you information that I got from other sources, not from my own personal experience. But a lot of it's probably good. So it's hard to detect that I'm scamming you, because a lot of information I'm giving is actually valid. So people can go and buy my program and be like, yeah, it's good tips. They say, you know, you got to be, when you throw the ball, blah, blah, blah. And like, that's true. Yeah, it's true. But the only reason you spend $100 is because you think I'm a championship basketball player, but I'm actually not. Right? I presented this image that's not real to sucker you into buying my program, which is not really all that good. It's very generic. You could get all the information for free, right? But the only reason you bought it is because I sold you on this dream. I showed you, look at how I'm living because of my championship basketball players. This could be you, right? Look at my nice car and all this kind of stuff. You know, you want to live this life? Well, buy my basketball program, right? So here you are learning how to play basketball from a guy who doesn't really play basketball that well. But you would never know it because, again, it's generic information. So if you look at it like these are valid tips, you know, get good sneakers, you know, have a good leg workout. So you have good leg strength so you can jump higher, right? Practice these drills. These are popular drills. Like it's legit information, right? But I'm not an expert. I don't really know what I'm talking about. So what stuff is good and not so good, right? I don't know. But the bottom line is my information is not worth $100 because I'm not a championship basketball player. That's just an image I presented to you to sucker you in to make you buy my program. And that's what these guys do. They present this fantasy of how great their lives are and this and that. And I used to be this and now I'm da-da-da. You know, I got all this money coming in, blah, 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 right? Which is mostly lies, right? But it gets you caught up on what they're saying. And you're like, yeah, this is true. Da-da-da. And look at the life he's living. And then you're like, oh, man, you know what? I wouldn't pay to get information from someone who knows the secret, right? I've been trying and I still, there's got to be something I'm missing. This is someone who's made it, supposedly, right? So let me listen to what they have to say. And then you go spend your hard-earned money to go buy generic stuff that you could have gotten for free. So, you know, you hear rich get richer, poor get poorer. That's how it works, right? These individuals, not necessarily rich yet, but they probably doing better than most, potentially, with whatever schemes and stuff they've been doing. You know, they've been able to accumulate a decent amount of money. Now they're taking it to the next level with some new program that they're selling, right? So they are already better off than most, right? But then they prey on the less fortunate people. You're working at Walmart, right? You're working at whatever it is, low-end job, not really making much money. And then this person who is better off than you comes to you and tries to take your money or get you to give them your money. And by having these less fortunate people, a whole bunch of them give their money to this person, that person gets elevated higher and higher and higher, rich getting richer. Meanwhile, poor get poor because you have someone who's poor taking advice from someone who doesn't really know what they're talking about, right? So even though maybe some good information, some of it's probably bad as well. But the bottom line is, how are you going to get good instruction from someone who hasn't been able to apply it themselves, right? If they knew the secret to success, they would have been successful, you know, doing those things as opposed to trying to sell you on how to be successful, right? So chances are the poor get poorer, right? You barely have enough money. Now you've spent a little bit of that little bit of money you have in the first place buying some program that's probably not really good. Now, if you've been completely lazy and you haven't done any research at all, then, and that's where it makes it a little tricky. It could actually help you because if you don't know anything about success, anything about, you know, how to, you know, be an entrepreneur, then even the most mediocre of programs could very well help you because, again, if you're starting from zero, right, it could very well help you a little bit. Now, how far it's going to take you, that's another question. But I can guarantee you most of the people who buy these programs don't end up being rich, right? And they will buy multiple programs. So poor getting poorer. Meanwhile, the rich getting richer. And this is how that works. One example, one of many. Anyway, the ghost, nice to see you. And that's all I wanted to talk about. So hopefully the next time you see a guy doing some ad about, you work a 9-to-5 job that you don't like, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, always remember the things that I brought up here. Most people spend most of their time doing what pays the bills, right? So that person telling you that they're doing all these things, how can they, if they're spending a lot of time trying to sell you on, they're going to teach you, like, and why? Why are they going to try to help you to be successful in a world where most people it's about themselves, right? How many likes can I get, right? Look at me in my nice car, right? Somebody complimented my car. Somebody complimented my hair. Somebody complimented my shoes. Oh man, right? That's the world we live in. It's just not this world of people out there who are, I want to help you be better. People want to help themselves be better, right? And for those few who actually want to help others, that's what they actually do. As opposed to selling something, they give, right? They donate to charities. They volunteer. That's what the true philanthropists do, right? They give, right? And some of these tricksters, they will say they give too by, oh, I give a lot of free information on YouTube. Really? Anyway, this is Carlisle's Picks. Thanks for joining in. Hopefully I have helped some people to save some money and do some Googling for information. Get some good books from people who have actually done things, right? CEOs of major corporations. Get some books written by people like that. And look for people who from the ground up, right? But you gotta be very careful, because even look at this, the guy for GoPro. He would seem like one of those stories of self-made, but he actually came from wealth, and a lot of his story is nonsense. So you got to be mindful of that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of trickery going on, all sides, all over the place. So you just really got to get your thinking cap on and think about who you're listening to and what their motives actually are. Are they really trying to help you, or are they trying to help themselves? The answer to that question should dictate your actions. All right, Ghost, thanks for joining in. There's no going home, people. Those whom do not know what it takes to be an entrepreneur are in love with the lifestyle that comes with being successful, not the process. Yes. Absolutely. Very well spoken. People are in love with the lifestyle, not the process, right? Making my own hours and traveling the world, right? But they don't see the being up until 4 a.m. for your business, right? While the lowly 9-to-5ers are sleeping, knowing they have things like health insurance and benefits and, vacation time, right? There's certainly advantages to being an entrepreneur, but there's also advantages to being just a worker or employee, right? All is not what it seems in this world. Wrestling for Life 24, joining at the end of a live stream. Hopefully you click on the notification bell so you don't miss the next live stream, because it looks like you missed this one. Thanks for joining anyway. Click on the like button if you appreciate the information and the advice that I've provided here on a beautiful day where I should actually be outside enjoying the day, but I felt moved to do this video instead. So show some appreciation by clicking on the like button, and if you're already a subscriber, make sure you click on the bell, because otherwise you're not going to get notified on videos. That's just the way YouTube is in 2018. Even clicking the bell is not enough, but I'm going to work on some things to address that as well. Thanks for joining in, and until the next live stream, have a great day, great weekend, and everyone be safe and live your dreams. Stop helping others to live their dreams off of your hard work and money.